name's Matt Chapman and I'm an audio lecturer. The audio production course is all about balancing kind of technical and creative aspects. So it really focuses on giving students a broad range of skills from recording, editing, mixing, mastering, game audio, film production, film sound production, post-production, and everything in between for audio really. And the exciting thing is the students get to experience a complete broad range of different skills, and they can see which one's going to benefit them in the industry, where they feel like they can fit in, and get an opportunity to kind of meet a lot of people and explore a lot of things in audio, which is really exciting. Most campuses have access to a Neve and SSL console, maybe a Audion or Trident console, something like that, and a Dolby Atmos studio to be able to go in, top of the range Macs with all the software that you'd need to do a good job, make some audio, and access to Pro Tools and things like that. So I think the real main selling point is the studios themselves, and being able to be on like an actual Neve console, an actual SSL console, and really get hands-on experience with someone who knows what they're doing and knows how these consoles work, I think is a really exciting thing to be able to get involved with in the studios and on the course. I think this is a great place to learn equipment because there's a balance of vintage and new. So you have really old bits of equipment that kind of teach you the classic skills, and they also teach you how things were done before and kind of like a really traditional approach, so you've got that foundation. And then we also have brand new cutting edge equipment like the S4 and the Dolby Atmos studios, where you're able to see the real cutting edge like Dolby Atmos mixing, which is quite new in our industry now and something that's really developing rapidly. Neve is great for warmth and character. SSL is great for precision and accuracy, but they're both beautiful. So, you know, they've been used in a bunch of studios in the past. One example might be Tom Elmhurst uses a really similar console, and he's mixed for people like David Bowie, Adele, all those sorts of things. Really great records. The SSL that we've got just across the way is well known that Dr. Dre used like a SSL console for his production, so that's pretty cool. And then if you don't know the names Neve and SSL, you would have heard some of the productions they would have been used on, such as classic studios like Sound City, and some of the productions for like, you know, that Dave Grohl's been on and that sort of stuff. You would have heard those kind of consoles and sounds. So there's definitely equipment that you can use here. There's Macs downstairs that are fully kitted out with everything that you'd need. There's Mac labs at the main house building, and of course the studios themselves, so they could use those a whole bunch. But it would be gently recommended that people have their own small setup, just, you know, a laptop and one piece of software, because being able to get that regular practice is definitely gently encouraged, just so that the student can have a really nice way to be able to practice each day, find what they like, find their own style, and really develop their own sound. Once you've completed the course, and what you'll learn throughout the course is really a range of different skills. So at the very beginning, you come in and you learn audio editing and the basics of audio production, so really the principles of audio, so you can know how audio works, know the fundamentals, and be able to just understand audio itself in its digital form, analog form, and all of those sorts of things. You'll also get a foundation in a bit of software called Ableton, so that's great for DJs, music producers, and people that want to develop their skills in synthesis and sampling, and that'll be kind of the introduction level. Then following that, they'll go a bit more into the studios. So you start in small studios, you learn microphone techniques, recording, editing, and really how to get a good sound in physical space, which is really exciting because you learn a little bit about specific equipment, consoles, signal flow, and there's a whole range of areas there. And at the same time, we do a module with that where the students learn a bit of software called Pro Tools, which is the industry standard basically if you're going into studios. And they'll learn about editing with that software, how to mix down their tracks, and learn a bit more about the radio drama industry. So how you can build sort of soundscapes for podcasts and editing and all of that sort of world as well, which is really exciting. Moving on a bit later, they'll go into the creative studio modules, and that's a real chance for the students to develop a whole bunch of skills. So they might learn post-production for audio, they might learn post-production for film, game, animation, and how to get all of those areas synced up and working for sound design and development. You learn the large studios here, where you get a chance to really develop your audio recording skills and your microphone techniques, but at a more advanced level. So looking into some more nuanced professional kind of techniques and that sort of stuff. As you get later on into the course, you learn a lot more about how to develop and work independently. So you get the chance to start really developing your own areas of research and looking into the things that you really want to look into and developing yourself as a practitioner. And that's really exciting because there's a chance for you to think, okay, I really want to, do X, Y, Z with my own productions. That's a chance to really develop that with someone supporting you, supervising your ideas, and getting you ready to go out into the world. So that will give you a range of different areas that you can develop. During that time, there's also some electives that you can choose. So people can choose to specialize in more electronic music production, more post-production, or more live sound as well. And they're different areas that people can pick to give you a nice broad range of experiences. The most recent external speaker that we had at SAE was my ex-student. His name's Stefan Brown, and he's a mastering engineer for Abbey Road. And he came and did a talk, and it was amazing. We set up some speakers in the chill out area downstairs, and he mastered like 4 tracks there on the spot. One student was even like, hey, could you quickly master my tune? He was like, yeah, all right. Just chucked it on, and we had a great time figuring out whether it was okay to like master in this space or not, and we had a really fun time. And he had loads of great insights for the students. And the main one that I'll share with people watching now is really, as we said earlier, is networking is so essential for the students, and being able to talk to people and just make friends in the industry and be kind, be nice, and just chat to people and say hello. And that was one of his most important takeaways. And then the second one was, don't be afraid to just start doing what you want to do, and actually taking that step and going for it with what you want to achieve. Because he had a really cool saying, which was, done and released music is better than perfect music. And I really like that. And there was loads of cool technical stuff as well about mastering, but that was the really cool takeaways that I think the students looked at and thought, yeah, that's something I want to develop, is that just go for it attitude and, making pals in the industry. Some of the roles that students could go into in the future could be music production. So that could be small scale in terms of working remote with the laptop and going around and just producing for people and working in that kind of way. Or it could be in a studio space, and we have people, a student, Jan, he went on to work in a studio, and that's super cool recently. So that was really nice. So studio production as well is definitely an area, but the list is vast. So if I just think of a few, you could be a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer. You could go into the world of radio, and that could be up front presenting. It could be behind the scenes with production. You could go into music teaching. So you could think about being a lecturer in that kind of world and teaching the next generation about audio, there's a chance and an opportunity. Lots of students from here, at the last point, they change their degree into a BSc. And then what you can do is go on to study things like acoustics or forensic sound and those kind of more scientific endeavours that can be really exciting. You get people that train to be specialist technicians, so you might repair and make audio equipment and things like that. You have live sound engineers, and the live sound industry is massive. You can be a live sound engineer at a local pub all the way to huge stadium gigs. And there's even interim jobs where you build live sound rigs in these warehouses and then ship them out around the world and stuff like that. So that you've got live sound engineers. You can be specialised in terms of just mixing and mastering, but then you also might have people that mix and master for Dolby Atmos and things like that. So they're kind of niche roles, but something that you can separate out quite readily. The next thing you might do is post-production. So you could work in film, sound, and you might work in the early stages of that world or the later stages, that finishing up the projects, with ADR, Foley, dubbing mixer, and all of that sort of stuff that you could possibly want to do for film. But then you might work in sound design. So you might do sound for games, sound for animation, sound for podcasts, and then there's a whole world of editing. So you might edit for podcast, radio, and all of those sorts of shows. Then on top of that, there's other roles that people have done that are more performative. So you might go on to be an electronic musician, a DJ, a performer, and be able to do that sort of world. And then of course we have the academic side where you could be a music researcher and then using music to help people, such as music therapy. We've had people go on and do in the future as well. So the spectrum of audio roles is vast, and it's just, I'm forgetting tons. But yeah, there's lots you could do with audio and sound just to think about. In terms of opportunities for students, we frequently do get people emailing in and asking for audio student to help out with this, that and the other, and that's really exciting when that comes up, and we're quick to suggest that to students and tell them about those opportunities that they can apply for. But obviously it is a competitive industry, and being able to encourage students to build something for themselves, network and get out there is definitely part of my philosophy, so that they can show people that they can bring value and they can bring quality and they can bring their creative skills. And then I feel like that tends to be the catalyst for a lot of work in the future, rather than it being something quite passive. It tends to be an active thing that the students chase after. But if they're going out there, there's definitely loads of great stuff out there. Some examples of people that have emailed in and asking for people at SAE, audio students, is predominantly in film sound and in terms of location recording. We've also had a few people do some live sound events as well, and then we also get people inquiring about just general recording in the studio and recording for music. In terms of collaboration between the students, there's a few opportunities where students can do that. The first thing being, we have modules that specifically help to foster collaboration and get students working together, and they're predominantly in the creative studio modules, which is really exciting. There's also times where we have online lectures where a group of students will all come together, maybe from Liverpool and London in this trimester, for example, and they'll work just in small tasks, but it's a chance to build and expand your network as well. And then there's definitely a great lecturer here called Hammy, who runs kind of an event which is coming up. It's like a uni jam event, and it's a collaboration across lots of different universities. And what happens is it's focused around game, but they need audio students as well. So it's just a chance where they can go in and really start to collaborate with other people. There's also been experiences in the past where film students have needed a sound engineer and needed a sound designer for their project, and there's a real nice chance to collaborate. And I've seen it through the SAE collaboration WhatsApp, and just old school notices on the board to say, hey, I need this, that and the other, email me here. And you know, people get work like that, so that's been very cool. My inspiration to work in music came from when I was a kid, really young, and my parents had a vinyl player, and I could mess about with playing with the vinyl, scratching the records and basically breaking things and getting into it. And I so wanted to be into music that I used to take apart speakers and record tapes off of the radio, and I just lived and breathed music. And I would like try and play people's drum kits whenever they were around, and you know, because nobody really did music. So as I got a little bit older, my school and college offered kind of music opportunities, and that's where I really found out about all the aspects of sound. And so that's why I'm pretty passionate about music education, because that's how I got into it. For me, was by there being a little course that I could do and being like, oh wow, I can actually learn about this passion and like understand all of these different things. And so the real turning point for me was a friend gave me a tape of old drum and bass and jungle rave, and I was like, what are these sounds? Because I'd never heard electronic sounds before, and hearing that I was like, okay, I need to know how this is done. How do you create those sounds? What even is this world? And that was a lifelong journey really after that. So that was definitely how I got into sound. And when I was younger, I used to love radio and like hearing the radio, and I used to love trying to tune in between FM stations in the car, and like hearing in between the stations used to fascinate me. But that was kind of my passion. And then more recently, my work has been as a mixing and mastering engineer. So people will contact me to get their tracks sounding on a professional level, and they'll give me kind of their rough recordings, and it'll be my job to edit that and get it sounding really, really nice, ready for their final release. And I also work one-to-one with people to like develop their sound and find out a way that they can improve their electronic music, really. For students that are a little bit apprehensive about joining a course, I would definitely say come to an open day, 100%, because then that way you get to see the staff, actually meet some people, see the equipment and get a vibe of the campus. And I think the fact that we're, in comparison, slightly smaller uni gives a really wonderful selling point where you can actually start to know everybody around, build connections and make a lot of pals, because you kind of know who everybody is, and that's quite exciting. Whereas sometimes in a bigger uni it is easy to feel like a little bit lost and kind of like not knowing what's around. So I think that kind of community and that feeling is definitely something to encourage, and definitely something that's pretty valuable. But I would also say, yeah, just coming along to an open day and meeting people would be great. And then you can always contact in and say, hey, these are the things that I'm thinking about, and you can get in touch with someone here to get answers about things that might be on your mind, just to see if that can be put to rest a little bit. And I'm totally sure that everybody you meet will be super friendly, so that'd be nice. Yeah. I've got a bunch of advice for people who are starting their career, but I'll try and keep it short and sweet. The main thing I would say if you're looking to get into audio is listen to as much as you can, as often as you can, and as widely as you can. So don't be afraid to listen to albums that are brand new, from different countries, old albums that you can only get on certain formats. Try and listen to as much as you can to get a broad range of knowledge of sound, and try and listen actively as much as you can would be my first bit of advice. The second bit of advice I would give to anybody who wants to study is read. Sound and Sound magazine is wonderful. It's a great place to start and it's full of really cool stuff. But there's a world of things out there. So it could be from, there's books like really specific. They get into like the art of recording and the art of mixing. So authors you can look up are like Bobby Owsinski, The Recording Engineer's Handbook. There's a book on mixing by ex-lecturer here, Roe Izaki, wrote an amazing book on that. And there's all sorts of books out there that you can find. You can't really go wrong. If you're reading about audio, you're doing great. The next bit of advice I'll give people is don't be afraid to contact people who are working in the world that you want to work in and politely ask them for their specific advice about that world, and also whether you could shadow them for a day. Because if someone asked me about what I do and was like, hey, can you answer a couple of questions about mixing audio, I'd write pages back to them, totally pages, but like nobody really does. So if you were ready to send out just a couple of emails to people in the industry and say, hey, I'd love to shadow you just for a day, or I'd love to come and help out for free, or I'd love if you could answer these questions for me, yeah, you might get a few no responses, but you might also get people who come back and say, yeah, I'm happy to help, and it could turn into something later. So that's definitely my advice, is listen broadly and deeply, do the same with reading, and don't be afraid to get out there and contact people politely and gently. So my favourite equipment is definitely in the computer, because I'm a big fan of synthesis and sampling and sound. So Serum 2 is a really top tool for me for sound design and being able to create sounds that you want to make. But as a mixing engineer, I would be lost without a really good clipper. So clipper, just to get the final kind of limit to your sound and cut the peaks off when you need, and soft clipping is a real big world that I'm a big part of. So a really good clipping plugin would be definitely part of my arsenal. And then also, even though it's a boring answer, there's a EQ called FabFilter Pro Q. That is just the one. Like if I only had to have one tool, that would be the tool, and I could still get things done. So yeah, that would be my answer. My favorite bit of gear is an EQ called FabFilter Pro Q.